It's a great time to get a great deal on a new car when you get approved for an auto loan from PenFed. Our Powered by True Car rates are as low as 1.39% APR on new vehicles. Finance for a longer term to lower your monthly bill. Plus, take up to 60 days to schedule your first payment. Join PenFed and together we'll keep you moving forward. Anyone can apply. Visit penfed.org/auto or call 1-800-247-5626. To receive any advertised product, you must become a member of PenFed, insured by NCUA.
The Cricket Badger Podcast IPL Daily, in association with Moonrise Cricket. Indian Premier League 2020, 13th edition. Every day, every game, every spill, every thrill, every triumph. All the way to the IPL trophy.
Hello everybody, welcome along. It's the Cricket Badger Podcast IPL Daily. I'm James, taking you through as always. And before we get into the cricketing action, thank you very much to Bodyline, TShirts.com and to Moonrise Cricket for their continued support of the Cricket Badger Podcast through the Indian Premier League. And what a match we have seen today. Kolkata Knight Riders and the Kings XI Punjab going head to head in what was nearly a quarter final. Kings XI had to really win the game to keep things interesting, and they've just gone and done exactly that. It makes the table very, very interesting and tight indeed as we go through the remainder of these group stages. To talk about that game and then to have a look ahead to the action tomorrow, it's Naman Shah and Neil Virani. Naman, KKR, your boys, just not quite good enough today, were they? But you've got to admit that if you can try and look at it from a neutral's perspective, it makes the rest of this IPL a damn sight more interesting now as after that result today.
Yes, now each and every game from here on is going to be do or die for top 6 teams at least. But yes, poor performance overall from KKR's end, even though it was 150. I guess Morgan needs to use Lockie Ferguson with the new ball rather than bringing him up after the 8th or 9th over. He is the gun bowler for them. But overall, quite a poor performance. And only Shubman, yes, he stayed out there but totally looked out of form. They needed much more. The pitch was not that tough, was not coming onto the bat and all. But they could have scored easily 180 to 190 over there.
And that's what they needed, isn't it? I mean, you mentioned Shubman Gill. He basically played a very similar innings to the one that Mandeep Singh played for Kings XI in reply. But the difference with the Kings XI reply, Naman, was that other people stood up and scored runs. Only Owen Morgan really got a sizable contribution in Kolkata Knight Riders innings. And if you look down that scorecard, Nitish Rana, Chapathi, Karthik, Nareen, Nakakoti, they all failed, didn't they?
Yes, also, James, if you will see all the additions previously, KKR are too heavily dependent on the first 6 overs. They had Chris Lynn, they had Narayan, they had Gambhir, who took massive advantage of the power play overs, and they used to be like 60 to 70 odd runs in the first 6 itself. Now, Shubman Gill and all are failing to take advantage. They need someone contrasting on the other end and not just the similar kind of players like Rana or Tripathi who will take time to get in. They need one of the explosive batsmen like Tom Benton or someone to take a bit of extra pressure from him. But overall, yes, there's not much batting performance out there. Even Karthik is failing badly. So quite much to look out for them. They need to somehow bring Russell back in.
And Neil, looking at the way Kings XI went about that chase, we got so used to Kings XI either losing very closely or winning very closely with basically beads of sweat everywhere and stress levels at the maximum. But today, thanks largely to Chris Gale coming in hitting 51 off 29, but Mandeep Singh 66 not out from 56 and KL Rahul getting them off to a good start. They just sauntered home, didn't they, today? It never really was in doubt towards the end.
No, absolutely. I think Kolkata really needed wickets up front, and KL Rahul and Mandeep Singh took the sting out of that. They were only 36, but most importantly, they hadn't lost any wickets in the power play. And at that point, the game was done and dusted unless either Chakravarti or Narayan could find real spin out there. And neither of them were able to do the same job that Bishnoi and Ashwin were able to. So it made it much easier for Mandeep and Chris Gale.
And that's, I mean, looking at the Kings XI bowling attack, it was one of their weaknesses, wasn't it, towards the start? The two openers, Mayank Agarwal and KL Rahul, were scoring runs for fun, but the bowlers were leaking runs all over the place. But they seem to have got a little bit more rhythm with the bowling attack. Even Glenn Maxwell's putting in a few tidy overs here and there. Chris Jordan suddenly turned up and is going at a meagre economy rate rather than leaking runs all over the place at the death. And it's starting to look like a proper team, isn't it? And 5 on the bounce now, Neil.
It's absolutely superb. It's gone really well recently. Momentum's a huge thing. And I think a lot of it is down to 2 young players who people wouldn't really have talked about before. I think Ashwin has been very dangerous, and Bishnoi. Before this IPL, I'd seen glimpses of him in the Under-19s World Cup, but he has been really, really hard to put away, and he picks up vital wickets. Chris Jordan seems to have played like he's playing for England rather than as he has done for franchises, where he's a lot more dangerous, and Mohammad Shami is just an absolute superstar. He's so dangerous both up top and at the end. So the bowling attack has really come together very well.
And one of the things that result gives the tournament is that 7 teams can still now qualify for the playoffs, including your side, Neil, Sunrisers Hyderabad. They've got 3 games left. If they win them all, they've still got a sniff, haven't they?
Absolutely. And in our favour is that a few cracks seem to be appearing in teams that looked almost unbeatable previously. So 1 game at a time, and we'll just see how it goes. I'm not putting all my eggs in the basket, but there's still hope.
Well, there's hope, there's life, or whatever the phrase is. Moonrise is a sports engagement website to allow sports fans to learn from the very best. Get a personal video message recorded for a fan's special occasion. Have a professional cricketer as your next coach by getting video feedback or having a 30-minute conversation with some of the world's best players. Players such as Jimmy Neesham, Colin Munro, Tammy Beaumont, Danny Wyatt, Monty Panesar. Visit moonrisesports.com or go to Moonrise Sports on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. Moonrise Cricket, let's play. Let's have a look at our Moonrise moment of the match for the game today. Kolkata taking on the Kings XI Punjab. A great result for the tournament, as we've said. But Naman, if I was to ask you to give me a moment of the match, the Moonrise moment, what would you give me?
Since Monday was the Moonrise moment last game, I'll go with the 2 leg spinners. I am a huge fan of leg spinners, and I love them watching bowl in tandem. So they both were just spewing venom today, bowling googlies one after the other, and the way they took care of the middle overs, especially from 11th to 16th over, and they were just throwing googlies one after the other, and they got rid of the lower middle order quickly. Just that phase was superb to watch out there.
And Neil, your Moonrise moment nomination?
I think it can go from the chase. The spinners had started, well, they hadn't taken any wickets, and then Chakravarti got KL Rahul, but they were very, very economical. And Chris Gale taking 2 sixes in a row off Chakravarti, I think, as well as the runs, they really got inside the head of the Calcutta bowlers. So Chris coming up strong very early in his innings was absolutely huge there in terms of the intent and what it did to the mindset of Calcutta.
I'm going to throw in a couple of nominations myself. I thought the Mandeep Singh 50 today, considering what the lad's been through over the last few days, losing his father, I thought his celebration when he got to 50 was quite special. When he looked up and he blew a kiss to the sky, everybody in the grounds knew what that was all about. Everybody watching it knew what that was all about. And he's showing a lot of tenacity, and you get the feeling that he's scoring these runs for his dad at the moment, and that's what's driving him through the rest of this IPL. You wonder if after his IPL's finished, whether he's just going to fall in a heap because the adrenaline's probably taking him through at the moment. The other thing I thought that was quite nice in a totally different way was the Chris Gale celebration when he got to 50, because the other day he had his bat the wrong way up, and he made sure today and made a big thing about making sure it was the right way up, and then he turned it the wrong way up, and I thought that was quite nice as well. But I think I'm going to go down Neil's route, because as Naman said, we made Mandeep the Moonrise moment the other night. I thought Chris Gale's innings today was the difference between the two sides. He came in, and it's amazing. He got to 50 off 25 balls, which is express pace, and he left a few, and he defended a few. But he's just got that capacity to open his shoulders, deposit a couple of sixes, and change the entire complexion of the game in a couple of overs. So, Chris Gale.
Sorry, can I just interrupt? I wanted to change mine, which seems a bit silly now that you've chosen it. But what you said about Mandeep Singh, I don't know if anyone picked up on this. They mentioned it a bit on the commentary. But after he'd reached 50 and they had the second timeout, KL came out and gave him a big hug, which I thought showed the great togetherness that they've got in that squad, and sort of goes with what you were saying about everything that he's been through, and he's managed to battle through for his team. I thought that was a really lovely moment.
I like the way there's a few of them came out. Anil Kumble was a little bit more understated in his congratulations to him. Glenn Maxwell gave him a big cheesy grin and a pat on the back as well. It was all really nice. It was all really quite heartwarming, I think, to watch those celebrations. And Mandeep Singh, if you listen to this, congratulations, lad. You did your dad proud today. But the Moonrise moment, it's still Chris Gale for his contribution to today's game. Want to get your game the very best it can be? The future of coaching. Talk to a pro. 30-minute video conversation. Video analysis from players at the top of their game. Video shout-outs. Get a personalised message from a pro. Great for birthdays, congratulations messages, a prank, or a simple hello. Visit moonrisesports.com or go to Moonrise Sports on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. Moonrise Cricket. Let's play. Let's have a look ahead, chaps, to tomorrow's fixture. We've got an interesting game, actually. We've got your team, Neil, Sunrisers Hyderabad, taking on the Delhi Capitals. We just said, there's still no second chances for Sunrisers. They're still in the hunt, but they've got to win 3 games in 3 to get through to the playoffs. Delhi Capitals have had a little bit of a wobble. They've lost their last 2 games, so it's possibly a good time or a bad time. It depends what resolution there is in that Delhi Capitals side to bounce back. How do you see this one going, Neil? Because in the same way that we saw Rajasthan Royals chase down a big score yesterday, you got the feeling with them that because they knew they had to win every single game, their mentality had changed a little bit and they're a little bit more attacking, and they knew there were no second chances, so they just went for it. Do you think that's the mentality Sunrisers are going to show?
I think there's some of that poking through already. Dave Warner has been very much the anchor so far, but the way that he came out in the last game was really good. And he was speaking about intent and not getting complacent when debriefing after that horrifying loss. So I think that he and Trev Bayliss may get together and just say, look, we haven't got anything to lose. Let's give it everything. Add to that the little bits of trouble that Delhi got themselves into in terms of their momentum and how they're playing. It seems that Shikhar Dhawan is pretty much carrying the team at the moment. And if we can get him early, if we can find a bit of swing and get him to nick off, then I think we've got a very good chance.
Now, man, looking at the Delhi Capitals, they've obviously lost their last 2, as we've said, but they're still a very, very good side. They're right towards the top end of the table. I saw Shreyas Iyer the other day saying that he's quite happy that the little dip in form has come now rather than when they've entered the playoffs, because obviously there's few chances to restore the balance if you lose a game in the playoff scenario. So, they can obviously bounce back. Do you think this is a good time to play the Sunrisers if you're a Delhi Capitals? They obviously need to get back to winning ways, don't they?
Yes, but as I earlier told James, it was important to seal the spot first, seal the spot in the qualifiers and then make the changes. Once they have started playing Daniel Sams and Rahane, then a few other guys, chances they've lost the momentum. And especially tomorrow's match is why important for Delhi is the next 2 remaining matches of theirs will be with RCB and Mumbai. It is going to be very tough for them. So they need somehow to play their A game tomorrow. And yes, apart from Dhawan and Shreyas Iyer, rest of the batting looks not quite a bit in that form. They need to step up. Every time you won't get Rabada and Nauki to win the matches for you. They need to score huge if they have to seal that spot. And yes, Warner have been quite lucky in the tournament so far by winning the toss. But I feel they are a better team when they bat first and not quite chasing.
Looking at the table, Mumbai Indians, Delhi Capitals and RCB, as has been seemingly for about a week, are on 14 points from their 11 games. Kings XI are now in 4th place and they've got a slightly better net run rate than Kolkata, who are also on 12 points. Rajasthan Royals, who've got 2 games left to play, are on 10. Sunrisers have got 3 games left to play, are on 8. And then CSK, as we know, can't qualify are on 8 points from 12 games. They can't qualify because of the way the fixtures kind of set up for the remaining games. And largely that is because KXIP, Kolkata, Rajasthan Royals, they all play each other. And that's the beauty of this tournament now, Neil, is that these teams that are in the hunt for fourth place are all going to take points out of each other, aren't they, over the next week?
Yeah, and what we can hope is that if we win our games, then everyone else does themselves a whole load of damage and we can sneak through. It's the other thing about playing each other a second time is that you can hopefully correct the errors that you've made the first time round. So when we were on the end of a pretty comprehensive drubbing by Mumbai, we'll have also learnt some stuff and can hopefully come back stronger from that.
Do you think David Warner and Trevor Bayliss can look around the dressing room and say, well, have a look at what Kings XI have done over the last couple of weeks? They took maximum points from their games against Delhi Capitals. They took maximum points from their game against RCB, and they did the same against Mumbai Indians. That's what Sunrisers have got left now. If they take a bit of Kings XI, they could maybe do that.
That's what the last few days have really shown us, is that we were all saying how unbeatable Mumbai looked, and then Ben Stokes made it look pretty easy to beat them yesterday. Anyone can beat anyone with the quality that all teams, including Chennai, had. So it's all still to play for.
Bodyline TShirts.com. Browse the finest collection of cricketing t-shirts on the web. Hundreds of original cricket designs for cricket players and fans alike, featuring everyone and everything from Larwood to Leach and Cow Corner to Chin Music at BodylineTshirts.com. And you can get 10% off your first order using the code BADGER at checkout. BodylineTshirts.com. T-shirts for the discerning cricket fan. Really interesting how it's going to pan out. It's actually made today's game, it's the result I was actually praying for as a neutral. It's just made the rest of this tournament so exciting. Every single day is going to matter now as we go through the remaining group games, and then obviously the playoffs and the final. So all excitement over the next couple of weeks up until the final on November the 10th. Just to finish off, gentlemen, they've announced the Indian team have announced their Test ODI and T20 international squad to go to Australia. Let's just concentrate on the T20 squad, because obviously this is the IPL, and a couple of people have got themselves selected in this one. I'll read it out in full. Virat Kohli, the captain, Shikhar Dhawan, Mayank Agarwal, KL Rahul as vice-captain and wicket-keeper, Shreyas Iyer, Manish Pandey, Hardik Pandya, Sanju Samson down as a wicket-keeper, Ravinder Jadeja, Washington Sundar, Yuzvendra Chahal, Jasprit Bumrah, Mohammad Shami, Navdeep Saini, Deepak Chahar and Varun Chakravarti. Naman, there's a couple of names in there that have obviously done themselves no harm over the last few weeks in the IPL.
Not at all, and they have picked on merit. They have got their guns which have performed. If you will see Chakravarti, if you will see Mayank, no one expected these guys to feature for India, especially in T20s. And yes, if you will notice that they have not chosen Pant, so this is high time for him to resolve his technical queries. I felt a bit for Padikkal, but yes, there is too much contest out there for the openers, so he'll have to maybe wait for a year or so, maybe next IPL. But I guess he was also a one to be looked out for.
Yeah, he's got plenty of time, hasn't he? Devdutt Padikkal, he's only 20. Shubman Gill's got himself into the Test and the ODI squad as well. Rishabh Pant, you mentioned, isn't in the T20 side, but he's down as the wicket-keeper with Riddiman Sahar in the Test squad. Neil, I take it you've seen the Indian touring parties. Is there anything in particular that stands out as far as you can see?
Rishabh Pant, bizarrely, seems to be seen more as a red ball player than a white ball for India. And those of us who've watched him over the years absolutely flay attacks to all parts in the IPL. Maybe a bit shocked by that, but he did have an excellent tour of Australia when we won a couple of years ago. The other one, although it's not officially confirmed yet, I've got to wonder how bad Rohit Sharma's hamstring injury is. Him not making the squads in Australia, where he's had a lot of success with the white ball. And after he'd done so well against South Africa, opening in the Test team, that was a bit of a surprise to me. So I'm assuming his injuries are a lot worse. He would have been really good on the flatter, pacier, bouncier pitches that you get in Australia. Mayank doesn't really surprise me just because he did so well when he came in and opened against Australia in 2018 in the Tests, and also he's done so well in the IPL this time round. So it's going to be very interesting. I also wonder how we're going to replace Ishant Sharma, who doesn't get the headlines in the Test team, but has been absolutely amazing ever since he went to Sussex and worked with Dizzy. He's been one of the best Test bowlers in the world, I'd say, over the last 2-3 years, and has really been the spearhead. So I'll be interested to see how we replace him.
Badgers are furry creatures. 85% of women badgers think bad grooming is a major turn-off. 80% of women badgers think men should trim below the belt. 89% of men think good grooming is essential to their professional success. Don't just dismiss it out of hand. Get on there, manscaped.com. Check out their great range of male grooming accessories. Hygiene, appearance, attractiveness, confidence. Simply go to manscaped.com, quote the discount code BADGER. You get 20% off, you get free shipping, and you get some seriously quality equipment. Manscaped.com. Together we save balls. Naman, final point on that. They've obviously named the Test squad, the ODI squad and the T20 I squad, but from what I gather, they're all going to travel out there together, live in the same bubble all the way through the entire series. So I guess there's plenty of scope, isn't there? If in one format somebody does exceptionally well, they could maybe just cross over into another different squad. I don't think they're totally exclusive of each other, are they?
Yes, it is going to be fun as well. A lot to watch out there, but I feel rather than T20s and ODIs, the whole Indian squad would be much interested in Test, especially World Cup going on. So giving more importance to Test, and yes, it is going to be hard. Too much cricket. I feel they are going to be there till Feb, and we have another youth series again, England coming up. So it is more of a mental toughness also. But yes, the overall, as you mentioned, it is going to be a huge challenge.
Well, hopefully they're all exhausted by the time that England actually face them. That's a very faint hope, I think, because I think that's going to be a tough series for England. Just to round off, Virat Kohli. In my previews, I said, the things missing from his CV, one of them is the IPL. But if RCB win the IPL and then he leads his country to Australia and they have a really good series down there, that's two major ticks, isn't it, Neil, for his CV?
Absolutely. The IPL victory is one that's dogged him and is used as a bit of a stick to beat him with by Gautam Gambhir, amongst others. Australia, he's got an absolutely unbelievable record there. Last time he got a brilliant 100 in Perth and led us to the first victory that we've had in a series out there. Time before, everyone talks about Steve Smith scoring 4 centuries and about 700 odd runs. Well, Virat got 4 centuries as well, including one of the greatest ones that I've ever seen in a losing cause in Adelaide, I think it was. I do wonder what's going to happen when his wife gives birth to their child, because I assume that he'll come back to India for that. With the Test side, Ajinkya Rahane has stepped in, and I say it quietly, but I actually think that he's a better Test captain than Virat is. But with KL Rahul as the vice captain, it will be very interesting because Kings XI is his first captaincy gig, really, and he's still learning on the job. I think he's getting better by the game, but to do that in an international arena against someone as seasoned as Aaron Finch will really be quite interesting there. So it'd be good to see during that period that we can compete and hopefully win against Australia in Australia without Virat. That's going to be one to watch.
I forgot Virat Kohli's impending arrival. That's probably the most important one of the lot, really, isn't it? I know we think cricket is the be-all and end-all, but having his child is right up there, I think. So Virat Kohli, you can excuse him nipping home to be present at the birth of his first child. Gentlemen, it's been a cracking day of cricket. We've got the right result, Kings XI winning. Apologies, Naman, for that comment. And we have got an incredible tournament around the corner now as we go through the business end of the competition. We're in full gear as we head towards the trophy celebrations on the 10th of November. Neil and Naman, thank you very much for joining me.
Thanks a lot, James.
Yes.
And thank you everybody out there for listening. Stay with us because this tournament is not going to go away, and it's not going out with a whimper either. It's getting more and more exciting every single day. Thank you to Bodyline TShirts.com and to Moonrise Cricket for their support of this podcast. I've been James, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks for listening. Join us every day throughout IPL 2020. Follow us on Twitter at cricket_badger. Join in the fun. We'll see you again tomorrow.
Support for this episode has been provided by Ratio keto-friendly dairy snacks. If counting macros makes your head spin, count instead on a snack by Ratio. They've done the math for you, so you can spend less time studying the label and more time enjoying your day. Creamy and delicious, try strawberry and vanilla for 2 grams of carbs and a unique combination of sugar and protein. Interested? Ratio keto-friendly dairy snacks are now available in the yogurt aisle at Walmart. Always consult your physician before starting an eating plan that involves regular consumption of high-fat foods.